guys, welcome to another video here at the Paper Addict. I'm so excited to be playing along on the YouTube telephone hop. Usually I just do the posting hop, but I wanted to challenge myself this time to get the video done. And what it is like Whisper Down the Alley when you were a kid. Person one starts with the layout, sends it to person two, they quote unquote scrap lift it, send it to person three, and you see how, on and on and on. And you see how different it becomes from the beginning to the end. So you saw the layout that Janet sent me up in the corner a little bit ago, and that's what I am scrap lifting. And then tomorrow, you can go to Moira's channel and see how she scrap lifted me. I'll put their links down below, both Janet's and Moira's. So I'm using this Doodlebug Hello collection, and I auditioned 800 different papers to be my outside edge. And of course, the one I wanted, I didn't have a full 12 by 12 of. So here is my trick that I use when I cut strips. Rather than trying to line them up perfectly with a ruler, I use 1/4 inch score tape, and then put my pieces, cut 1/2 inch pieces, and then line them up right with that 1/4 inch score tape, so I know I'm having exactly a 1/4 of an inch border on each side. So that helped me. I tried using liquid glue and then making sure that this side was a 1/4 of an inch and that side was a 1/4 of an inch. This is so much easier. So I started with these photos of our kids from Easter. The first one, the 4x6, was one of them together, and then these 3x4s are ones, obviously, of them separately. I really liked that navy blue paper, and that's what I really wanted to use, but when I put it down and threw a couple of the die cuts on top of it, it was just too busy. So I went with this pink, and it does have a pattern on it, but it's tone on tone, just like this green one. From Janet's layout, I am taking obviously the border. She had a border in hers, as well as she had 2 photos. Hers were arranged a little bit differently, obviously, but yep, 2 photos. Also, the big block down the middle is something I took from her layout, as well as the florals and then the bright colors. I did have the collection that she used for her layout, but I didn't particularly care for, I loved the collection. I didn't care for it with these particular photos. I think it was because, and I know this sounds silly because there's florals in this, and florals in hers, but that collection was a little bit softer, and I didn't like the way it looked with our son's photo, as silly as that sounds. I will probably use it for the photo of just our daughter. We usually have their photos done every year for their birthday. This year, with the whole COVID thing, we did not get to do that. Easter was 2 weeks after her birthday, so I will probably just use these Easter photos as her birthday photos as well. And of course, there was no Easter either, and I'm the silly mom that still made them get dressed so we could take photos. We could do a drive-by at my parents', because they only live 10 houses up, and wave to them. And then they got to come home and change to eat our Easter dinner. I did still cook Easter dinner, but here I am. I'm just inking my edges. I love my Tim Holtz mini distress inks. I don't do stamping or much mixed media beyond splatters, but I use those, I think, on every layout for inking my edges. And it's so funny because I have 3 tins now, and I still go, don't have just the right color, and I'm always buying more. I think I have two that would be considered navy blue, both the chipped sapphire and the faded jeans, and I still get them both out and make sure they're just the right one for that particular paper collection. I know in the grand scheme it probably wouldn't matter which one I used, but yeah, that's that's my own little dysfunction. So, what am I doing? Nothing interesting. Cutting off an extra strip of paper. Um, I have since changed that craft knife blade, and oh, what a difference. So, in Janet's layout, she did have some extra paper bits on each side. So I did want to use that to use it because A, she used it, and B, add some extra interest to the column. And I started out with a polka dot. It's a white and navy. But when I'm filming, I mirror it to my computer so I can, attempt to see that I am in frame. And as I glanced over, I noticed I couldn't see it on the screen. And I'm like, well, if I can't see it on the screen, you're not going to be able to see it um, in a photo or, unless you're like, I mean, I didn't even know, could you see it then? I guess you could see it in real life, but really subtly. So I switched it over and used the yellow side of the paper, and I actually liked that a whole lot better. So now I'm, just fiddling with some layers for behind my photos, and I was trying to use the papers that I had already cut. Another one of my scrapbooking quirks is I really do try to kill a kit before I part with it. I try not to be, wasteful or just throw it in the donation bin if I don't like this. So I try to use scraps before I cut into another 12 by 12 piece of paper. It probably makes my life so much more difficult, but I'm sure we all have those quirky things that we do that are part of our, creating routine or process. So tell me, what is one of your quirks? Tell me down below that, like, okay, I got to use all the scraps before I cut into another 12 by 12, or, um, I cannot mix paper collections or whatever it may be. Tell me down below what one of your quirks is. So I don't know how, but I ended up with 2 of these sticker sheets. But it's not something to complain about, obviously. I end up using pieces from both of them, so I must have used those pieces before. And there are doubles in the die cut pack as well. Some of them are plain and some of them have like gold foiling on them. And I'm finding I tend to reach for the ones without gold foiling. I don't know why, because I don't wear gold. All of my special jewelry is white gold. But I scrap with gold. Figure that one out. So I'm not opposed to gold, but I always find myself reaching for the plain die cuts versus the foiled ones. I liked the idea of the camera. We were taking pictures. The camera would have gone. And it's not a shape I would generally use. So I was like, maybe I can get it on here. But it was, for me, just too large. I also liked the navy blue guitar as far as color and shape. But I couldn't figure out how to tie a guitar in with pictures I took on Easter. You know, it doesn't have to be Easter themed die cuts for me. You know, there's no Easter bunny in the picture that, you know, or anything like that. But um, so you could put, you know, anything you wanted on here, but the guitar was just too far out of line for me. I did want to put something in between those photos, but no matter what I did with the little leaves, they looked like ears to me where they were, so that idea was scrapped. I'm sure I'll put something there later. Maybe I put sequins. I don't remember yet. Awful, right? I just watched this video to edit it and can't remember what I put on the layout. And of course, I'm not with the layout because my kids are downstairs playing video games together. The 4-year-old has actually started playing, and my 9-year-old is in love with that. So I left them downstairs to have some fun, and I came up to do the voiceover, and of course, didn't bring the layout with me. So I'm going to add some of these gold hearts. They are the foiled ones. I'm going to add some phrase stickers. This is where I'm happy to have those 2 die cut sheets because I have obviously double the phrases. I love this paper collection. I just really wish there were some smaller die cuts. I mean, the die cuts on this, you can see the die cuts and then the stickers. You can see there how huge they are. I mean, they would take up like an entire, it's like having another photo on the layout. I think those I may have to see which ones I can make some cards with. I'm not a huge card maker, but they're just so big that they would be a good accent or like a focal point on the front of a card. So there's my bin of thickers. I keep them organized in a 31 container. I saved you me looking through all 800 of them to find which ones I wanted. Here I am checking that I have the letters to spell what I want to. These gold thickers, I forget where I got them. And I wish I could remember because I'd like to buy another set. I love the size. I love that they have like a capital size and a smaller size so it can look like a capital and a lowercase without them being, you know, tiny. If they strike anybody's memory, let me know because I love them and I'm getting low on some of the critical letters, which, you know, always the case, right? It's always those certain letters that we run out of. I'm never going to run out of Q's or Z's. It's always the vowels. And S's, T's, I'm sure you guys know. So I do pull out some sequins. I have an entire wall of colored sequins. And it's one thing, I think I've said it before, that I'm always in the process of using up. I do use the Zots for bling to put my sequins on. I've had the most success with them staying on my layout with those. I've tried, you know, I have glues that I love for die cuts and chipboard, and I just find these work best for sequins. I'm also going to put some Nouveau drops on there. I do go kind of crazy with the Nouveau drops. So I then put some Heidi Shine, you can tell I watch Inky Quill, Heidi Swap Color Shine on there in gold to try to cover up the fact that I went crazy. But that's it for the layout, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check out Moira's layout tomorrow to see how I inspired her, and check out Janet's process to see how she inspired me. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.